What's going on, everybody? Friday here with Friday's Gear Reviews. And if you're into pocket art, EDC gear, or you just love those tiny details that make that everyday carry yours, then you're going to want to stick around. Because today we're talking about something that is small, sharp, aesthetically that is, and straight up weird in the best possible way. These are the N2DWLD TOOF. That's right, TOOF bead. And let's get into it. Now, first I want to say this is going to be a decently long review because I really am excited about these. I think these are super cool. I think these are a super unique approach to pocket art as a whole. And it's exciting to me. I like the differences. I like the fun here. I think it's really cool. But first things first, what is a TOOF bead? Well, N2DWLD has already made a name for themselves in the pocket art and bead space because they're doing things completely different, right? Each of these TOOF beads is a sculpted lanyard bead that looks like a mutilated molar. Yep, like a tooth. But he takes two different approaches here, right? So this is your more gritty, post-apocalyptic finish that deserves to be in like the game Fallout, right? This approach, on the other hand, is more along the lines of a polished and refined one that goes on a fancier knife or a more high-end knife that would go with you to, a wedding or something like that. Now, these really aren't your average lanyard beads, like I said. Each of these TOOF beads are made from materials that are reduced from bar stock, as in they really are carved from raw materials and hand finished with these crazy surface details, these realistic tooth root textures, crazy patinas and polishings that make each one totally unique. So now let's go ahead and get into size comparisons and specs here. Okay, so first we're going to take out the good old tape measure here, measure each one. I think they're all about an inch. They vary a little bit because these are handmade pieces, so there is going to be some variation there. So this one's like 1.2 as opposed to this one that's 1 on the nose. So then let's go ahead and get a weight here. So go ahead and start with the brass one here. So this is 0.51. This guy, on the other hand, is going to be 0.705. So now we'll get the calipers out here. Kind of get for instance, I'm going to be very careful with these. So we're looking at about this 0.5925 this way, on the wider side, and then, let's see, I need to get it right here, 0.4625, and on this one I'm going to be really careful with this one. So, right at about 0.6050, and lastly, looking at, hold up here, 0.568. I'm going to be very careful with this one. Now, we're going to go ahead and do some size comparisons, right? So first, actually, we're going to start with the brass one first. This is it next to the good old $2 bill. Okay, and then we'll take the stainless one here. Okay, a little off to the side. Next, we're going to do the good old-fashioned Sharpie here. There's that. 1 second here. Sorry, I keep moving it around, trying not to here. Next, we'll have it next to the stainless one right there. So next, we'll do the AA battery here. Next, we'll do the AAA battery. So this is it next to the AAA. And so for those also in the know, we have the throw in the Armstrong Metalworks Solar Blueprint coin. For those that know, they know. This is another piece of interesting pocket art. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and talk about the materials. Okay. So, N2DWLD offers these in several materials. There's common ones and uncommon. Some more common ones are going to be titanium, Scurfetti, which is like a resin, a composite material with little glow-in-the-dark flakes in it. It looks really cool. Bronze, copper, silver, brass, stainless steel. They have micarta, mostly vintage stuff, and Richlite, along with some of the exotic materials that I don't have here, obviously. Things like zircotite, zirconium, mochumade, Damascus, Timascus, superconductor, even meteorite, which is nuts. And the best part is, it's not just raw materials. They usually come with some insane finishes. You see things like heavy patinas here, acid wash textures, polishing, flame anodizing, regular anodizing. They give it this dark art mystique, right? And I kind of went over it, but you know, you have this one that is going to be your brass right here with your antiqued finish. So, like I said, something involved in like fallout or gritty, things like that. This one is going to be the stainless steel and the polished finish, and the fit and finish on these are just incredible. The best part is too, these are solid. It's surprisingly they have some heft for the size itself, and it makes it feel premium, which is awesome. Now the size right here, like I said, is in that sweet spot, right? So about an inch. So putting them on a lanyard or 550 cord makes it to where it's not super bulky. It's not out of place. And then they have two different approaches to the through hole itself, right? So this one goes through the top. This is mainly what the standard ones look like. Then you have some of the special ones where it goes through the side. So two different approaches with the same goal. The through hole in these are, it's very cleanly drilled. It's definitely sized to work perfectly with the tooth bead, or the 550 cord. Now let's go ahead and talk about packaging, right? Because this is really, really cool as well. This really shows this attention to detail that Steve Davis, who's the maker of N2DWLD, really kind of puts forth in each of these projects here. Now, each of them come with this little tin here that has the TOOF logo. Let me open this guy up here. They each come wrapped in gauze. Get this open here, as you can see right there. Okay, then this is one of the older ones, so it's not going to come with a COA, but this one does right here. Shows it's the smooth texture, brass, antiqued. This is the date they were made, and this is Steve Davis's signature. So super cool. Sorry, attention to detail there. Then all the packaging comes in this autoclave sterilization bag, which really is cool because that's something that you would see at like the dentist for the tools and stuff. But like I said, these really do give that attention to detail that, and show the attention to detail that Steve really puts into each of these pieces, and shows they each have a purpose and a story. So the real star here is the design language. This isn't just a bead. As I've said before, the sculpting looks like something that's between H.R. Geiger and this decayed relic here. They're grotesque, they're beautiful, they're intentionally imperfect. And after talking with Steve Davis about why he designed them that way, he said something that kind of made me laugh here. And since these are meant, a lot of it, kind of things you'll see with these are on these knucks, like the Starco 8-bit, which is another piece of pocket art, and P&W or Pacific Northwest Toast, which are little knucks, right? And he said the reason for the tooth shape is because knuckles and teeth go together like peanut butter and jelly, which is pretty funny. So these are completely different. They're completely unique, and the approach to these is just completely different and unique. They're not meant to be perfect. you know, the little cracks, the chips, the uneven gum lines, the exposed roots. These are all designed to look like a relic that is just pulled from some back alley witch doctor voodoo stash, if you will. And that's the appeal. This creepy, cool kind of piece that if your carry is this dark and artistic carry with a little tactical edge to it, this bead will fit right in. Now, Steve also added that at one point he was a mixed media artist for several years and has been formally taught with 2 degrees in paint making and printing. So aesthetically, each piece he creates has a theme or concept behind him. And then each drop he does is like a series or homage to a thought, story, or a feeling of things going on around him at the time when he was making it, which really gives each tooth personality, which is great. Now, functionally here, let's get into functionality. It's still a lanyard bead at the end of the day, but it's a conversation starter. Whether it's on your knife, your flashlight, your other piece of pocket art, your zipper pull, things like that, it really gives your gear personality. And now, it does make retrieving the knife from your pocket a little bit easier thanks to the added grip and stuff. But let's be real, no one's buying this for utility. You're buying this because you're into elevating your carry, if you will. This is something that would kind of add to your signature piece to set your carry apart. And it really does deliver on this unique aspect of something to add. Now, let's go ahead and talk about price, because these things are not mass produced. They're limited runs. They typically sell out super quick. These are done on N2DWLD's site or via private drops on Instagram and things like that. Now the prices, I'm going to go over prices of table price, and I'm going to go over secondary price. They are going to drastically differ. So first of all, these range anywhere from $65 to $135 at table. Now, when they come up on the secondary, some of your exotic stuff is going to be way up there, but for the most part, they hover around the $300 to $500 range. The exotic stuff, on the other hand, like the meteorite and superconductor, $1,500 plus is given. So, and I know, it's obnoxious. It's expensive. It's certainly not for everyone. I'm going to get a lot of comments. I would never pay, $1,500 for that, whatever, but it doesn't matter. That means it's not for you then. Because it may seem high for a bead to be, even $65 to $135 may seem high. But in the world of pocket art and handmade gear, this is really right in line with the level of craftsmanship and scarcity, because these are collectible. As much as people that don't get it, these are collectible. They sell out in seconds. And like I said, the older ones and the exotic ones will pop up on the secondary for just an obnoxious amount more. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up here. All right. So if you're into this art forward EDC gear, or your carry just leans a little towards the different and weird aspect, this is really your guy right here. This is 100% worth checking out. It's more than just a bead, right? It's a statement piece. It really does say you care a lot about the details, the storytelling, and the individuality of each piece of your carry. And yes, I have owned a few of these. These are not mine, like I said before at the beginning, but I have owned a few. And I would put them on things like on my, I've had them on knives, I've had them on the P&W Toast, or Pacific Northwest Toast, on a couple Starco 8-bits. And when I had them and used to carry them all the time, I would get asked a lot about it by friends of mine that were in EDC, because it really was that noticeable. Now, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Drop a comment if this is something you would carry, if you get it, if you don't get it. Just go ahead and let me know at the bottom. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all have a great day.